I found a lot about Kepra Rage, so that's what I was trying to get today. Because you didn't go through that, did you?
Um, no, I had a pretty bad temper on it and was bordering on like suicidal with it. It was pretty bad.
I'm glad I didn't. I don't remember the Kepra part of my teens. Um,
Yeah, apparently I like yelled at my neurologist's office because I couldn't talk to him and I almost got dismissed from the practice.
sucks.
Yeah, but they sucked anyway, so they were not that good. And when he retired, I got put off to the nurse practitioner, which um, I feel like in a highly specialized situation like this, I don't know if a nurse practitioner should be in neurology. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I'm Aaron, by the way.
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Good. It's chillaxing.
Someone says, I just had an aura. One of my auras is hallucinations, and I just saw a cat walking around, but my actual cat was in another room, and I don't have a second cat. I'm home alone, and I'm supposed to fly to another state next month. And if I have a seizure now, then my family will try to get me to stay, and I can't cancel my flight. I don't know what to do. I'm kind of panicking, but I'm sure it'll be okay. If it's a seizure in about 10 minutes, I'll be okay. In about 10 minutes, you'll be okay. I don't know. I think I'm down for how long are you down afterwards? Maybe 5 to 10. And
After a
that was it.
seizure?
Yeah.
And
Usually at least a couple hours.
Well, I'm down a lot afterwards.
I don't know if I have, whereas they're more like vocals.
Yeah, I have focal unaware. I've had a few focal awares, but the focal unawares are the worst.
Yeah.
What are your auras like, Aaron?
Uh, it's really hard to describe it. So imagine that there's in your vision like a tear, like a like a water drop sort of, and that's what my vision looks like. Plus, really bad vertigo for like half an hour.
Oof, that's not good.
Right.
Usually,
Someone
though, when I have those, I wow. Usually, I don't have a tonic-clonic seizure afterward.
someone says, how far can I take it? Before I was diagnosed with epilepsy, I used to free dive and scuba dive. I haven't scuba dived since my diagnosis, but recently I was cleared to get my driver's license again. Do y'all think scuba diving could be a possibility again, or is it too much of a risk? I wouldn't.
I have no idea.
I think that would be best left up to the big wigs, but um, I don't know. I mean, stuff like that. It's kind of like, um, driving's already kind of a worry. Um,
Scuba diving,
Scuba diving, if shit goes south, like that's it. It's game over.
right?
Like,
There's
all
nothing
right,
you can do.
this is it.
Someone would just see you and just be like, it's over.
Yeah.
There's nothing you could do scuba diving and be that deep and it happens.
Like a car crash, you can maybe bounce. You can probably bounce back from. Well, there's a better chance you bounce back from it.
Yeah, I was reading a lot of stories about crashing and driving with epilepsy.
Yeah.
I don't even drive anymore, so
I don't drive either.
I was gonna try. I was thinking of driving again, and now I'm kind of like, I don't know if I should. After yesterday, I don't really know what happened. Yeah, it's just like a really. I told my neurologist everything, and she was like, "It's difficult to say if that was like a seizure or not," because I was like, I was my buddy, and I was like legit, like just fucking super hungry, and I was like, "Oh, dude, I don't feel good. I'm kind of getting lightheaded." And then I kind of don't really remember. I remember us leaving the store. I don't remember getting to the car. Apparently, like he had to like physically and verbally direct me to the car. Um, it was a good like 5 minute period where I was just like not there.
sounds like a seizure to me.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it might have been hypoglycemic too. Like because I was just like fucking. I remember being in the store and feeling like I was gonna pass out from not eating. And then when I said the stuff to my neurologist, she was when she said like it's really hard to tell if it was or not. But I also
Yeah.
found out my A1C was 5.9, so that's really fucking annoying.
What's that?
Blood
It's like
sugar.
a blood sugar test over. It like tests your blood sugar over what it was for the last 3 months, and I'm just over the range of what's considered pre-diabetic. So gonna yeah.
You ever had a
Um
seizure and need like to someone to like stop breathing, stuff like that?
no, I've never had one where I stopped breathing.
I've stopped breathing twice.
Jesus.
Right.
Sorry, bud.
I was with someone. He said they Narcaned him. That's the worst when they think you're high. Just assume you're on drugs, having an overdose.
What is Narcan? Like what I mean, like what does it do?
It
If
reverses
you
the effect of
overdose, it'll
opioids.
bring you back. Like someone might OD and they'll be laying there and they Narcan you when the ambulance show up and you're foaming at the mouth. That's what they do.
I don't plan to do that,
Me either.
but learning moment. Learning moment.
Right. I had a seizure while driving home from work years ago. The heat was on in my car and I was not wearing a jacket or anything. I went off the road and slid into a snowbank, and the cop that showed up was convinced that I was high on something. Even after the EMTs and my mother showed up and confirmed that I was an epileptic and had a seizure, he was absolutely certain that I had to be high. When he first got there and yanked the door open, pulled me out of the car, and made me stand in the snow in jeans and a t-shirt while he searched my car, all while I was yelling, asking for my jacket, at least because it was in the middle of nowhere in the winter.
Cops are fucking morons.
Yeah.
They have no. That's like what shit. That kind of it just scares me because it's like they have no de-escalation skills.
That's what I was thinking. Like, they might need a little training. They should make a class for that so they know what to do. So people know something about it. People show up and don't know anything about it, and everyone screams and calls the ambulance instead of anyone saying, I know something. Hold his head, turn him over. Teachers don't know this stuff. Teachers call the office first.
People are dumb.
You guys ever had a seizure on public transit?
Nah,
No.
just self transit.
I had a seizure in an ambulance about a month ago.
You ever got into it with an ambulance? Arguments or fight?
No.
I've argued with the ambulance before.
Oh, they knew I had a seizure.
Someone says dating with temporal lobe epilepsy. Can someone help educate me? I do not have TLE and I am uneducated on it. I matched with a very sweet girl on Hinge a few days ago, and we spent the last 2 nights on the phone chatting for a couple of hours. She told me last night that she has TLE, very minor seizures, and that she needed to get that off her chest. She told me that her seizures are essentially just like her mind going blank for a few seconds, but because she's unable to drive, other than not being able to drive, it doesn't affect her at all. Of course, I told her she's not defined by that, and I would never judge anyone based on medical condition. I said, we all have our baggage, and that I'd hate to miss out on who she really is because I'm scared of her disability. The problem is I'm a bit scared of it. I want to believe her when she's mostly normal besides the driving part. But because of how uneducated I am, I'm not able to trust her 100% yet. She and I have a date near her town, which is outside my city. I'm meeting her somewhere 33 miles away, which I feel is uneasy, which I feel uneasy about looking towards the future. It's likely that anytime we'll be together, I'll probably have to be the one driving, which concerns me a bit financially. What has dating been for those with you with TLE? Um, I don't have it, but um, I don't have any suggestions for him.
It's a hard
That's just a
question.
choice you got to make.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. What's up, guys? By the way, I don't know if you can see. I'm in my EEG
Yeah,
mode.
so you got your little new do there.
Yeah, I went there 10 o'clock this morning, so I'm all set up now for the next day and a half. But TLE is precisely what I have. So to answer that question for it's not that big of a deal. Um, that's precisely the seizures that young lady gets is exactly what I get in terms of just mind going blank for a little while. So usually what I do is I wear a bracelet and I just have like a signal. Like if we're in the middle of a conversation, I tap the bracelet just to let the individual know that that's just something I'm going through for that 30 seconds to a minute, whatever it may be at that point. But um I guess she's a little bit different because she doesn't drive. I do drive. I don't, I haven't had any where I've lost consciousness, so it's a little bit different for me. But it's not that big of a deal, right? Just work out some sort of of a signal so that this way she can feel comfortable and and know that it's not that big of a deal. It really isn't. So I mean, I've been doing plenty of dating, and I've always been open and honest about that, and never been an issue. They've never really been never been a problem. So I wouldn't worry too much about it.
I think his problem might be the driving part. It sounds like, and then he said financially, so it's also that being the one driving.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. I mean, I live in New York, right? So I mean, there's a million different ways to get to where you need to go without driving, right? Whether it's public transportation or um, taking an Uber or a Lyft or whatever the case may be, right? So that's difficult for me to answer because we don't really run into that sort of issue here because everything's sort of on top of each other, you know.
Okay.
I mean, 3 miles really, it's really not that big of a deal. Like,
Yeah, I've dated with no problems. People say it's no problem.
How many miles did he say it was?
33 or something.
33.
Where's the individual from?
He didn't say.
I mean, if you're talking about somewhere in like the Midwest, you're talking about in the countryside, 33 miles is nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
Brooklyn.
I mean, it's a bit of a like time. It's maybe can be depending on where it is, like maybe 30, 45 minutes, but it's not that big of a. I really don't think it's a big of a deal.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know, it depends. It depends how he feels about the individual. If he's willing to make the sacrifice, then he'll do it. 33 miles is not a whole lot if you want to spend time with somebody.
And if you're not feeling it, then just don't waste don't waste
Don't
her.
waste your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't waste your time. Don't waste her time.
Right.
I think it's an interesting point of conversation when you meet somebody, and especially if they're interested, they'll want to know more about what you go through, what it's like.
Yeah.
So if he's got those sort of reservations and whatnot, then maybe it's not the best move for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, he said that they've been talking for 2 days and they're planning a date. So at this point, it's probably going off of looks.
It's 2 days. You know.
I don't know, man. Sounds like they're ready to get married.
Right. 2 days, and he's worried about the first date, I believe. That's just it's a conversation you have to have with her. Found something that says, "What is epilepsy taken from you? My driver's license and my confidence. When can I get it back? I didn't deal with the diagnosis well. Kepra made me a really shit person for a couple months before it shut my kidneys down and almost killed me. Wife couldn't handle it. I have no hope of getting split custody anytime soon." Oh, that sucks.
We keep. It's all about Kepra.
Right.
Everyone has a problem with Kepra.
Yeah. I mean, I know I feel like that's like one of the popular ones that is shit on, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who works really well with them, but like,
It works well for me.
yeah, I know a lot of people have had issues with it. Maybe it's just the popular one to shit on. Maybe it really is the one where few people have success with it, and everyone else kind of has it doesn't do well with.
Yeah, I remember early on in the process going through, with the neurologists and whatnot, and the first one they had started me on was Kepra, and during my second opinion meet with a different neurologist from Weill Cornell, I had mentioned I was on Kepra, and he sort of gave like it's like he's like Kepra's very effective. He goes, especially like intravenously, like in the hospital for someone who is like going through a seizure or someone who does have like frequent seizures. He goes, but for a day-to-day medicine, it wasn't something he really recommended. But again, everybody's different when it comes to certain medicines, right? So
It hit perfectly for some people, and they have like no issues with it.
yeah, no, I have an individual that I'm friendly with, that I play pickleball with. He's an epileptic and he takes Keppra and has not impacted his life at all. He's perfectly fine with it, right? It all comes down to the individual.
Yeah. So, next, do you just tell someone off the bat that you have epilepsy? My name is Natalie. How would it be? She said, do you tell someone right off the bat if you have epilepsy? And what about if you're sleeping with them? I hope it's clear that I have nocturnal epilepsy that's not really very controlled. Definitely not as wild as when I got diagnosed, but not really under as much control as I think it should. be once I go out and socialize with people again. I don't really do much at all beyond accompany my family who knows about my epilepsy to places like veterinarian spots, grocery shopping, and whatnot. I would tell them, but based on the reactions of people I know and live with, I really don't want to. The way every one of them has described my seizures with such a traumatic and intense tone makes me sure that no one new would want to stick around me afterwards. I don't suggest sex on the first day.
And just imagine like not telling her until like after you finish. Like, yeah, I have nocturnal seizures, so if something happens in the next like 5 minutes, just know that's what it is.
Don't spend the night.
Yeah, I gotta get going.
Unless
Go
there's
some
a
cat-
really good
go some
reason
cat
to,
change.
I wouldn't mention it on a
Huh?
first date.
Yeah.
If it's nocturnal, like she says, and only nocturnal, I think I'd say it. 'Cause it's not happening. We're not asleep. But then again, I never really knew anybody who only had nocturnals.
Mine are mostly nocturnal.
How's that?
I go to sleep, I wake up, I had a seizure.
Yeah, I usually wake up in an ambulance or surrounded by paramedics.
So do you have one? Like, well, is it like you're waking up to a seizure?
Me?
Like, is it like, you know,
No, I have a slight memory of the very beginning of it. And then I wake up and I have a bloody tongue and a sore back, and the rest of it I don't remember.
damn.
Okay. So most of them, someone tells you about.
If they saw it, yeah.
Okay. So
But
it's like a tonic
since
chronic in your sleep.
exactly, but since I'm sleeping when it happens, I'm always in my bed, so I don't have to worry about falling down, standing up, you know?
Right. One of the comments about Natalie dating and on the first night, someone says, I for sure do, and I'll tell you why. Tell her why she should be letting someone know. My seizures are stress induced. Even if it's not stress per se, intense emotions can build up and trigger one. So one day I'm having a steamy hookup with my now ex-boyfriend. We tried new things and it was fun, but as we got close to finishing up, I started having a seizure. Imagine if my ex hadn't known. I wouldn't probably I would have probably traumatized some poor guy. I also just want to add that feeling shame around your seizures and how loved feeling shamed around your seizures and how loved ones see them is normal. Hopefully though, if they're like if they're like my loved ones, then they're coming from a place with deep care and emotion. Mm. Some guy says, well, you know, man, if you have a seizure, he's not going to realize, but he'll say, I must have had some real big dick energy. What the fuck? Someone says, has anyone felt guilty about traumatizing people who witness your seizures? My mother is mostly the one affected. Says my mother is the mostly the one that's affected, when she's near me and a weird sound comes unintentionally. I make a sound in the middle of the night while shifting around. She quickly enters a panic. Every seizure I have, the air leaving my lungs. Oh, no, every seizure I have, the air leaving my lungs sounds like a scream. That's what scares her. My father checks on me too, but he doesn't get all panicky like my mother. Uh, feel the guilt. I don't know. I think I have that much support that I don't feel guilty, and I don't think they feel traumatized anymore. At least no one's voiced it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like the guilt, but I recognize like it's gotta suck being on the like other end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I never get the. I think I used to maybe have some guilt and feel like I'm just traumatizing people, and then at times I was just like, I'm taking my pills. There's nothing I can do, so I had to stop feeling like that. Traumatized. I believe there's some people that are still traumatized. Um, I've apologized to a few people, but there's not much you can do.
I think my wife was traumatized with it. She had like a when we were at the clinic, she saw it like in action, so that was really hard for her. I mean, she's obviously not like guilting at all, but um, she was like, she was, I cried on the way back home. Oops.
Someone says, I'm the partner of an epileptic. He's 35. Is this normal? Sorry if this is all over the place. I'm a bit of a mess currently. My ex-partner had a series of seizures and went into cardiac arrest 2 weeks ago. He has been medicated for the last 12 years, which seemed to only slightly help as he started having smaller seizures, eventually full-on tonic-clonic during the recent episode. He recovered and left the ICU after 5 days, during which I stayed bedside with him and have stayed with him at home as much as I can. Before this incident, during our 2.5 year relationship, he would often explode at me over small things that I wouldn't consider to even be problems. He would tell me that these are due to his epilepsy and medications, and I would give him the benefit of the doubt and forgive him. Since he's been out of the ICU, he's exploded over the smaller things over and over. Like I'm not holding the garage door open for him or me asking for eggs a certain way. These explosions always lead to big screaming fights, and admittedly, I don't always just take what he put dishes out.
That's impossible to disseminate.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like there's a lot going on there.
He's kind
exactly.
of having kept her rage, and she's asking what to do about the raging. I don't know.
There's a lot of things that could be going on there.
Right. Someone says, being a burden to others. I have uncontrolled epilepsy and my seizures are frequent. My tonic-clonics are controlled, but my focal unawares are gnarly and often come in clusters. I feel like I need constant supervision and I'm a burden on my husband. At the same time, I don't want to I don't want to get others to understand how to deal with it. Not even at the least because it's embarrassing. I just don't want to terrify people. At the least, my husband knows how I work, but then he has the burden of always having to care for me. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to handle this loss of independence. I know how many of you with uncontrolled seizures live alone. How do you guys do it? My husband sometimes snaps at me when I try to develop a safety plan and show fear of the whole thing. The burden of taking care of me and emotional after effects are getting to him. I spent the morning crying. I don't know what to do. I don't think I can do this anymore. I'm scared. I won't hurt myself, but I'm having a hard time coming to terms with this. I guess I'll vent. I don't think I felt like a burden. No one made me feel like that in any relationship, past or past.
No.
Anyone ever made you feel like a burden?
No, I've been
No.
extremely fortunate. Well, my sister, but she's just kind of got a lot of like anger issues and kind of has her own shit going on.
You need Kepra? No.
Huh?
So does she need Kepra?
No, she does not need. She's got that rage going all on her own.
All right. Someone says, how do I get my family to chill out? I'm having a lot of trouble with panicked family members to the point of immense frustration every single time I close my eyes or sit in silence watching the TV or make sort of a humming sound. I get a frantic, are you having a seizure? Get that too. Even when I'm half asleep, it scares the hell out of me. And I do get that they are being caring as those of those symptoms. And I do have semi regular seizures, but God, it just irritates me so much. I've been diagnosed for nearly 2 years. I'm typically able to make a sound. I am typically able to make sound, sort of attention seeking movements, or cry for help before I lose it completely. And I've made this clear many times, but they still think anything even slightly restful is something to panic over. I've spoken to them about it, and they're just not going to change.
It sounds like they just need, well,
Education on it.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, there's got to be a deeper conversation, I guess.
I mean, I think maybe they just need to keep having that conversation and just keep beating a dead, essentially just beating it to death to them. Like, you guys got to chill the fuck out. Or maybe have like a third party. Like, I don't know if it's possible, if they have like their a neurologist or maybe another family friend that could. So I don't know if they have like another family friend who may be a doctor who could talk to that doctor and shit like that, just to be like, hey, you guys you gotta chill out.
Yeah, sometimes I might get like the little myoclonic jerk or something, and I never peep it. Sometimes I'm guessing I get it and someone catches it and I don't. But I get that a lot. Are you okay? And I'd be like, did you catch something that I didn't catch? Because I've been sitting here still that I know of, but I guess I get that often. I guess it's out of love sometimes. It's like, are you okay? Yeah. And sometimes I guess, yeah, like she said, it's getting to be too much. But in the comments, someone said, I know the feeling people express annoying, overdramatic concern when you don't need it. But these same people or family members just can't find the time to help you get your meds or to the doctor's office when you do need help. Yeah, the worried family that aren't going to help, but they're worried. Someone else said, maybe you should agree to something that you will let them know when you're having a seizure. You can buy a clicker like the ones used for dog training and agree to not worry until you click it. Maybe it gives them sort of peace of mind. Make it clear that you're still aware when a seizure starts so they know you have the ability to still click when it starts. A clicker. I never thought of that.
I mean, I think the family also, I don't know if they, maybe this person can convey to them, like, to the family members, like, if one happens, there is really nothing you can do, and there's nothing that needs to be done. It just keep, yeah, you just got to keep him in like a safe, make sure they don't like fucking fall headfirst into something, or like, you know, keep them on their side. But at the end of it, it's like, things are probably gonna turn out fine. Like, you gotta let it run its course. Like, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, like someone else says, it's been almost 20 years. I've come to learn it's just something you got to get used to and stop complaining about. Yeah. Someone else said, I would make sure they feel comfortable in knowing how to look after you. And if they need help or training, then get it for them.
That's also good.
Someone else said, there's no way it's to the point where I feel like it's not going to get any better. When I try to reassure them it's getting better, they just convince me that it's never going to get better for them. Someone says, my girlfriend doesn't respect my sleep. I need my rest, but I don't get that a lot. He said, as many of you know, sleep is important to not having seizures. My girlfriend always says she gets it, but doesn't act like it. For example, last night we went out and I was cool with going out, but I normally go to bed around 10. At 9, I told her I was ready to go. She promised just a half hour more. Then she promised another 15 minutes and then another. At that point, I knew I need to get back and sleep or I'd probably have a seizure. I told her this and she gave me the puppy dog eyes. I ended up staying another hour and had a seizure this morning. Relationship advice for seizures, I don't know.
Well, you gotta make them make the house calls.
Right. I don't know what to say about relationships.
I mean, when I was like first getting them under control, like, it was rough on like my wife, because she wanted to like stay over, but I'm like, I need to get sleep, and I'm like not able to sleep. I'm not used to getting sleep with someone in the same bed yet, and I'm like, these are like not in control right now. So yeah, I mean, an episode of something can wait till the next day. I think she's gotta realize, like, she needs to like realize, like, hey, I've gotta go. This is a seizure could pop up from this.
Yeah, the puppy dog guys, they aren't worth the seizure. I guess I have to tell her that you gotta understand seizure, how serious it is. I don't think people think it's that serious. So she's probably like, okay, a few more minutes, and then she forgets because she doesn't have it. She doesn't have to deal with it. Someone says my ex-wife was the same way. Stay out late, have a seizure. I guess his wife is the one who had epilepsy. Someone said, I lost sleep just reading this. You hide your struggles from your loved ones. I've noticed that I got used to hiding how I felt or what my side effects are. I'm suffering from my parents and sisters. The way I see it is that it might hurt them a lot more knowing that I'm suffering and that they can't do anything about it.
I mean, I feel like I'll like hold off. I mean, I don't tell them everything because I don't know.
Yeah, some of the relationship ones, I don't know. I don't know how to explain. Not good at relationship stuff. Someone said, has anyone else noticed the prescription prices? I picked up my meds today at CVS and paid $50. I was stunned. I used to pay under 10. I take Keppra and Tobermax. Generic for both. Luckily, this is for a 90-day supply. My insurance hasn't changed. Has anyone else had this happen?
I had my I don't even know if it was a 90-day supply because I'm taking more per dosage now, but I had to pay like $30 for the oxcarbazepine, and I don't think it's a 90-day supply one. I think it was just 30.
Yeah, my insurance only lapsed one time and I forgot to go redo the paperwork. And I think I only paid $65. So I don't know how expensive that was because I never really paid for it. My insurance has always paid for it.
Yeah.
In the comments, people are saying Keppra has one up, Dexcom has one up, and Lamictal has one up. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if they...
Someone says, how many meds have you tried? I've been diagnosed with epilepsy since January this year. I tried 6 different pills. Each has 2 strong impairing side effects. Now almost 1 week on gabapentin. We will see what this do when it's maxed out. I thought
6 different
gabapentin was for
pills
something else.
from January from this year.
Say that again.
6 different pills from January.
It hasn't even been 6 months.
That's a lot.
Right.
Start with Keppra, then lamotrigine, then oxcarbazepine. Or no, then Briviact, then oxcarbazepine, then I can't remember the name of the other one. Started with an M, I think, and it caused kidney stones. It causes kidney stones in people sometimes, and that was a fucking horrible time. And then I got off that, and then they added Clobazam. So 6 total. Past like 10 years. Fuck, how long has it been?
So in 20
Yes.
years, I've taken 3. I took Dilantin and then Capra and then Lamictal. Going on 20 years. Someone says, I tried 10. The side effects destroyed my life. I have an RNS now and still having seizures, but they're slowly lowering. Had one this morning, but I'm trying to stay hopeful. I hope better treatments will come out in the next 5 to 10 years. 10 pills. Yeah, he said they destroyed his life. That's a lot.
Yep.
But she said in the 5 months, only 5 months this year, and that's a lot of pills. Let's see next. Someone said, my Keppra rage is stupid. I take 1,000 milligrams generic 2 times a day, and it can make me very angry. I think I might have read this one before. Made me very angry. I had a coworker grab me by the shoulder I broke during a seizure. That's still healing. And I went full Keppra rage this time and told him the next time he touched me in a way, there would be no managers involved. He's going to get knocked out. I got a write-up. He didn't. I've gotten to the point at work where I just work on cars in my bay and avoid people because I'm afraid I'm going to pop off and lose my job. Yeah, we're talking about this Keppra rage. Someone says I hate Keppra. Not on it anymore, but I hate it. It did me the worst. I don't suggest it to anyone.
Apparently, everyone hates Keppra.
Yeah, there's so much posted about it.
You know, I find like the the discussions about medicine are very subjective, right? So
Yeah.
you know, everybody has their own take. You know, you hear from people. I mean, even medicine in general, right? Some people can deal with certain things, and some people can't. You know, so
Right.
you know.
Someone says Kepra's turning me into a raging bitch. Is this temporary? I started Keppra 1.5 weeks ago, and I'm experiencing some symptom relief, but I'm also unfortunately experiencing the following side effects very strongly: aggressive or angry, change in personality, crying, delusions of persecution, mistrust, suspiciousness, or combativeness, quick to react or overreact emotionally, rapidly changing mood or mental changes, outbursts of anger. This is causing real problems with my family and friends already. I am flying off the handle at the smallest things, and I'm close to temporarily cutting off my beloved sister. My family is extremely supportive of me despite being the victims of my behavior. They want me to continue giving the medication a try because they see the immense relief it's giving me. I have an appointment with a psychiatrist and neurologist to discuss my medications, but I wanted to informally poll people who have experienced this with Keppra or anticonvulsants. Yeah, these are all kind of, if you take this. Have you heard of Omvi?
I don't. I don't. I feel like I have, but I can't remember. Apparently, there's Oh, what the fuck is here already? Okay. Apparently, it's on the very heavy, like it's on the very like expensive end because there's no generic. But this is just what I remember when I was in the hospital and the neurologist prescribed something in addition to the lamotrigine. But he was saying like Briviact has a lot of the same like chemical like makeup as Keppra, but it doesn't have the um like some of the negative drawbacks people have with it. But then again, Briviact is also like a name brand one that there's no generic for, so it's on the pricier side.
All right. Someone said, "What do you guys use to help with sleep?" Like most of us, lack of sleep is a big trigger for my seizures. I've never had one after a full night's sleep. I told my neurologist, and he said he's not familiar with sleeping meds, so he's not sending me any prescriptions for sleeping meds. Yeah, I know my neurologist is awful. So Friday, I have that appointment, and I want to know what to expect. So when it's 2 a.m. and you still can't fall asleep, what kind of medication do you use to help you get to sleep and stay asleep? I don't really even care
Trazodone.
about being groggy the next day. I just want something to fall asleep.
Trazodone.
Hello,
Trazodone?
everyone. Nice
What
to meet
up?
you. I turned my camera off because I look like a mess today. I hope that's okay with y'all.
Don't feel
Um,
bad. Look what I got on.
Oh, I have had multiple EEGs. They're so much fun. Um, I'm getting my results on Monday for my most recent one, so we'll
Good.
see how that went.
Wish you the best.
Oh, thanks. I can't remember the names of half my meds because I'm taking a small pharmacy, but I'm uh the most recent here, I'll try to find it. My most recent um med for sleep is I'm taking a giant pill's worth at this point, and I just started an increased dose, and it's giving me the wackiest dreams. I I can't fucking tell you guys. I wrote my doctor to ask if it was normal, and he just wrote back today and was like, "Oh yeah, totally normal, whatever." Like I shouldn't even be worried. And I was like, "Dude, I how am I supposed to deal with this? Like I'm gonna lose my mind. I am losing my mind. I feel like I am. Like I guess I'm sleeping, but it feels like I'm going insane."
I I don't know. I feel like I had like the. I'm now remembering when I had Keppra. I also had like really vivid dreams that like I still remember. They weren't bad. They were just really vivid, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, sleeping's an issue for me as well. um, I take lamotrigine for the new people who are here and haven't met. So,
Me too.
I'm gonna be back in a few. I got a call coming in.
yeah.
All right.
So I had reached out to my epilepsy doctor in reference to that. Said, are there any sort of medicines that you know we can supplement to help with sleep? She's very much against a lot of them. Um, so what I do, and this may sound nuts to a few people, but I actually smoke weed at night. I don't smoke a whole joint, but I'll go in the yard and I'll take a couple of hits and it'll relax me and I'll sink into my couch. And then when I feel myself really, really like, I get up, go in the bedroom and I go to sleep. And that's been the best thing for me in terms of reliable sleep, not only falling asleep, but staying asleep as well. So
Right.
if that's something you want to discuss possibly with your doctors and see what their take. Every doctor has their own opinion on things. So I went through a whole bunch of, I tried over the counter sleep stuff, taking a half a pill, but ultimately at the end of the day, taking a couple of hits of weed at night has been very, very helpful for me and relaxing too.
Yeah, it helps me sleep and it helps me eat. So that
Yeah.
I do understand.
Respect, I won't go on my rant, but I had alcoholic parents, and so I've got a whole diatribe about weed versus alcohol and our country's opinions about different drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. But I was put on a medication when I was in the hospital that had I don't remember what it was, but it had something similar to marijuana, and it got me super high, and I hated it. It made me
CBD?
feel
Was it CBD?
maybe I can't remember. My memory is terrible these days. They've
Mine
got
is
me
too.
on this program. Have you guys heard of hopscotch?
No.
It's um a college nearby has this program that they're working on. Um God, which college is it? I don't know, but they're some students are working on a program um to it's one of those things where it's like they're helping a bunch of people, but they're also probably doing a paper or something. But they're they've got me working with them to work on my memory. Because yeah, they're working with people with epilepsy who have memory problems. Because my memory is shot these days.
You know what I try?
So
Your name's Reese, by the way. I don't. I just want to make sure. Like, I don't want to call you like. Where are you from, Reese? By the way.
I all over the place. I'm technically from California, but I'm in Boston these days, and I've been
Okay.
here for like a decade.
You know what's help because similar to you, I'm not. I'm not. I'm kind of in the middle. I don't know if it's the epilepsy itself that's causing my short-term memory issues, or if it's the medicine. Um,
the medicine.
So I kind of agree
Medicine.
with you on that, Pookie, because I was on a relatively high dose of lamotrigine, and I was completely in a fog all day long. It was very, very difficult for me to remember a lot of things, a lot of short-term stuff. So we've kind of backed off of it a little bit, and that seemed to help. But one of the things that I do, and if you want to try it, it's actually kind of fun. Is I downloaded this app called Impulse, and I do it daily, and it's basically different puzzles and different sort of activities that are meant to help stimulate your mind and your memory. And it's fun. It's only about 5 minutes a day. It's like three different games. You could play more if you wanted to. Um, the annual cost was like I don't know, like $70 for the year, whatever it is you pay it up front, and I like it. I mean, it seems to keep me as sharp as possibly can be, considering what we go through on a day-to-day basis with the affliction and also with medicine. So I mean, I would recommend it if anybody wants to try it. I think those level of activities or puzzles and whatnot sort of try to keep you a little bit sharp. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to try it. I do all the New York Times daily puzzles. I'm into that shit. So I'm willing to give it a try.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with the B12 supplements. Someone told me that they're really cheap, bottle of vitamins, and take those. He said it helps them, but his is also genetic, so I'm gonna still try it, figure it out. I've heard a few people say good things about it.
The medicines do absolutely reduce some of the different levels of vitamins that you have in your blood. I had blood recently too, and you know, I'm usually I'm a pretty active individual. I go to the gym, I walk every day, and my diet's pretty clean. You know, I indulge a little bit like everybody else does, but my folate was low recently, and so was my B12 was within the acceptable range, but on the lower end of it, as well as my vitamin D. So, um, those are some supplements that I try to take on a day-to-day basis. Before I go to bed at night, I take like a ZMA supplement, which has magnesium, it's got zinc, and it has a little bit of B12, B6 in it. But it seems like I may need to either supplement a little bit better with my diet in terms of those vitamins, or maybe just some, like Pookie said, maybe a cheap supplement. You know what I mean, to get them. But these medicines definitely do have an impact on our bodily chemistry, right? So,
Definitely.
so like I said, I try my best to try to supplement and do as best as I possibly can to help sort of pick up where that leaves off.
Yeah, I understand. Um, just looking at something that says, do you think the medication affects our emotions? Person says, ever since I was a kid, I've been emotional, watching movies, TV shows, just heartwarming clips. Something about movies and emotions, but also just thinking back on my life and remembering good times or anything that makes me thinking about where I am and who I am and where I was to where I am. I don't even know. I'm effing losing my mind, or these are relatable to other. Are they the meds that makes me really emotional? Hmm.
Hmm. I I mean, I couldn't say I've always been that way. I have an ongoing joke with my wife that I am a robot and don't have emotions, and it's an ongoing joke because I'm actually the most emotional person in the whole world. I'm just a bottle of emotions. I cry at everything, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. I'm starting from a place I I couldn't get more emotional.
Yeah, I get that sometimes where they say just like I'm not emotional towards things. I have emotions. I thought sometimes I feel like I'm emotional towards certain things, but some people are like, oh no, you don't show emotion towards a situation. And sometimes it's just like I'm listening, I hear what you're saying, I'm just not, I guess, reacting how you would want in that moment. So
Yeah, I mean, some of us, the way that we um, handle different situations, it's just sort of inherent the way we are emotionally, right? But I do definitely think, because a lot of these medicines we take, they're also utilized off label for different sort of, mental issues. Like I know lamotrigine is used as a mood stabilizer, right? Um, so there's definitely some validity to the fact that a lot of what we take can also have an impact on our emotions as well, right? I mean, for me personally, um, I feel like I'm pretty level with this particular medicine. I mean, there are some times where I'm a little bit more emotional than what I would normally feel towards, in the past and whatnot. But um, I think you take the good with the bad, right? So that's sort of my take on it. I think a lot of these medicines, and Reese had said that she's on, a cocktail of different things. I can only imagine what that does to her. But without really knowing who she was prior, it's hard to say. She's an emotional individual now. Maybe it has more effect on her as more emotion, or maybe she's a little bit more, battle hardened to certain things. So, but I definitely think the
Exactly,
medicine
though.
does have the medicine
Take the
does have
good
a
with the
lot
bad.
to do with that.
say that again.
Said exactly. You take the good with the bad.
Right. Found a post that says uh, Topamax is making me feel dumb. I think we spoke on that. Anyone take Topamax?
I
I
used
believe
to.
I do. I am trying to get them to take me off it because I have it's the stupidest reason, but I have the weird side effect where I can't taste carbonation. And I'm just like, I want a soda. I just want a soda. I also have the struggles of losing words and stuff, and that drives me crazy. And I should be more focused on that. But it's also just give me a soda. But yeah, I'm trying to get off that. I've been trying to get off it for years, and they keep saying they're going to get me off it. And wait, am I frozen? Oh, no, I don't think so. Okay. And yeah, I've been trying to get it off it for years, and they're just not getting me off it. So
Here's one thing that I'll say to the group, right? And look, we all have our own different personalities. We all operate in a different way. Um, there's a lot of information that you can find nowadays through research on your own, right? And a lot of the stuff that we can find, our doctors actually use to make their own decisions, right? Um, I don't advise being a Google doctor because, indigestion can turn into a massive heart attack from reading what you read, right? So, but I think it's important that you know your body, you know who you are. And if your doctor is not going to um, at least have the conversation with you with respect to how certain things are making you feel and making you try, then you need to find a new doctor. And that's well within your right to do that. And even ask questions. Go there with a notebook full. That's what I go with a notebook full of questions, right?
I
Because
agree.
I'm thinking about all different, like there's a lot of research on how creatine can help with brain, right? But the problem with that is that they don't know the amount of milligrams it can help. There's discussion about how nicotine can help with brain, right? Same thing. They don't talk about like what the milligrams of the dosages could be for help. But there's all sorts of research and things that are currently going on that if your doctor's not willing to, you know, have you try or at least work with you, then you need to find a new doctor. You know what I mean? So um that's my opinion, and that's the way that I operate. I'm fortunate. I live in New York. There is we have top of the top in terms of different universities and hospitals. You have Columbia, you have Well Cornell, you have NYU. Um, so if one doctor's not doing it for me, I'm gonna go find another one. And I want someone that's gonna work with me on my feelings and the research that I've done, and maybe I misinterpreted certain things, and they'll tell me that I did. But they'll also listen to me and some of the things that I've gone ahead and I've researched and that I want to try. And as long as it doesn't impact the medicine that I'm taking, or it doesn't put me in a position where it makes things worse, I want someone who'll say, you know what, Ant, go ahead and try that. And that's where I started with the weed because I sleeping was a big issue for me, and not sleeping is what triggered a lot of my focal seizures. So. Um, that's what I ended up getting into marijuana with was, small doses and not using it to have recreational purposes. It's more of getting myself ready for bed. So it's definitely important to work with somebody who's willing to listen and understand what you're going through and to have the open mind to try things as long as it's not going to put you in a position that makes things dangerous for you.
Right. Um,
yeah, I'm lucky to live in Boston too because we've got so many great people here. And I joke I had such a terrible surgery experience, and that's where I'm coming off of and why I have so many problems right now. And I I had it was supposed to be one surgery and turned into like three, I think, because of some of the problems. And part of what happened there, there's a patch of hair that's just not grown back ever. And I joke with my hairdresser, I'm like, I can never leave Boston because I don't want to deal with a new hairdresser who I have to explain my patch of baldness to. So I'm just in Boston forever because I have to stay with my hairdresser. So yeah, I'm lucky to be here.
I stay in my area just because I don't want to change neurologists, so I can't leave either.
Oh yeah, I love my neurologist. She's good. I have doctors who I do not like and who I'm trying to get rid of, but my neurology team is top notch, so I'm lucky.
Hey, Ann,
Hi, hey Pookie, hi guys.
what do
Sorry,
you take?
I took Topamax. Sorry about I took Topamax for about 6 months, and my personality hasn't been the same since.
You were
My
just reading something about personality.
Yeah, it really messed me up. And 5 years of cognitive behavioral therapy and some psychotherapy, and I still see my distant self. It's just not there. And I know I can't take it. It was great for nerve pain, not gonna lie, but I know why they call it Dopamax. I was not myself. And I went through a bit of a traumatizing crises at that time, and I was still titrating up on the medication. And when I moved, because I had to move, the doctors where I am now, I call them Dr. Do Nothings and Dr. Dumbfucks. They, of the 5 medications that I was on for my epilepsy, they only gave me 2 of them back, and it was the Vimpat and the topiramate. And instead of putting me back on the topiramate at the dose I was at, which of course I informed them, they put me on the full dose. And I promptly stopped taking it. I think it lasted maybe a week. And I said, no, I'm done with this stuff. Now that I know that this is what's causing those problems, I stopped taking it. I'm like, I can't take that. But, that's on the list of the drugs I can't take. It's like that. And, gabapentin is a problem for me, and Keppra. And it isn't just the Keppra rage. I guess they gave me something in an IV and put me immediately into cardiac arrest. So it's like, yeah, don't do that again. And that was like a decade ago. I get to this wonderful place called Rochester, New York, have it tattooed on my arm, and they put it right into the IV that they stuck right into the tattoo.
Oh my God.
And then it's like, I woke up, I think it was like 4 days later, and they're like, well, we didn't believe you. Why would it be in my medical records, and why would I tattoo it on my arm if I can't take that drug? And this is the kind of stuff I'm getting. They changed, they took and changed my established diagnosis and said, no, you have psychogenic non-epileptic. And they took all my medication. And there we are. Within a couple hours, I was in their ER in status epilepticus. So it's like, okay, So I rely on cannabis in several forms. Hi, who we got? Eamon?
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Hey, you said it right.
hey, are you Irish?
Yep.
Ah, me
From
too. A Killily. You got a Killily.
around.
But yeah, and like you guys are saying, it's different for everyone. I know I see a lot of times, people are coming in to the other epilepsy groups, and I'm still there. I'm not getting ditched too much. And they're like, oh, hey, how do I use weed? My doctor told me not to use weed and blah. I've been part of that advocacy and activism since it started. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Realm of Caring, and how they're connected with cannabis, you know, Charlotte's Web, that little girl, Charlotte. I've known her mom since 2008. So, you know, going through all that, it's like, okay, I know a little bit about how to use the stuff, you know. So people are always asking, because once you run out of the medications to try, you got to do something, you know.
Yeah.
And that's terrible to hear about the cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, that's how I was diagnosed as an epileptic. I went into cardiac arrest. Um,
You know.
yeah, I was, I was relatively healthy guy. I'm 44. This happened about 4 years ago. Came back from the gym after a workout and did not wake up until 5 days later. Had no idea what happened to me. Um, they just pretty much assumed that I had a dangerous heart arrhythmia. They implanted a cardiac defibrillator in me.
Mm.
That's what I assumed was the issue, and went along that treatment path. And then about 5 months later, I was driving and I had another seizure and crashed my car.
Oh man.
And then at that point was when the bells went off in terms of trying to figure out what the next step was. And then they diagnosed me as a temporal lobe epileptic. They found it on an EEG, and that's what I've been dealing with ever since. I've been very fortunate where my seizures have been localized to um, forgetting words when I do have them and not understanding what people are trying to talk about. I have not had any more seizures where I've gone into, full convulsions and whatnot, knock wood.
Mm-hmm.
But even at that, it's still a challenge, right? Trying to,
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of discussing with somebody, having a conversation and just sort of just zoning out and losing the ability to communicate. So, um,
Yeah,
so
or they
yeah, I
say,
mean,
"Hey, you okay?" You know, hearing
yeah,
somebody say, "Hey, you okay?" and be like,
yeah,
"Oh man, what happened? What did you see?"
right,
That's the
right.
first thing I'm like, "Oh, what did you see?"
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. So, I mean, it's definitely a scary thing. Especially, cardiac arrest is,
Oh yeah,
Can't imagine.
we had to count. We had to go through all my records because this has turned into a legal issue. Um, and I thought I had had been intubated maybe, I don't know, maybe a dozen times. I'm 64. My first seizure was in 1968. My diagnosis wasn't until 2007. Then I
I
moved.
can't imagine that. I was I say, I'm so lucky to live in Boston. My diagnosis was my first seizure,
Yeah.
because there are so many hospitals here, and
Yeah.
there's a
Well,
neurology team at the hospital 10 minutes away from my apartment,
I
and
was in
they found my
surgery.
cyst
I
the
was a
first.
surgical nurse, and poof, down, 7 doctors around me, and it took another decade to get my
I'm,
diagnosis.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thanks. I'm grateful to hear, you know, when people get a quick diagnosis. It's like I had one, maybe two seizures. Usually it's two. And then, you know, I got diagnosed, got on medication, and I haven't had a seizure for 7 years. You know, I love
Oh,
those.
See, I'm so happy to hear that. I
No,
have a seizure a week.
I'm
yeah,
I'm peanut butter jealous.
peanut butter jealous. Love you guys. Yeah, no, I'm one of those. If they had implanted the electrodes, I have constant every day. I went from temporal lobe epilepsy to what they call focal bilateral tonic-clonic. It's my entire brain. I have seizures in every single lobe of my brain at one point or another. And the one EEG I did in Baltimore, they yeah, when he's an award-winning neurologist, put this all in his notes. And I'm like, I'm talking to him. I'm like, how do I have seizures constantly and still be okay? You know, he's like, well, yeah, you just normalize, you know, and I didn't know that could happen. I have faulty focal multiplex. So it's like all over, you know, and yeah, I get to the point where I'm tired of fighting with these doctors for medicine. Um, I still haven't restored my original medications.
How
You
many-
know, it's so frustrating to hear what doctors do. My
Mhm.
wife is surprised to hear that when I was in the hospital for 2 months, nobody called me by my name, and they all called me by my birth name. And it's like that's easy compared to what they do to other people. Like I can't imagine.
Oh yeah, I've yeah, I don't even want to get started. I'm one of the horror stories from the beginning to end, and which is exactly why now I have a better team of doctors and a wonderful team of lawyers, because yeah, when you screw up like this in New York State, you lose your license first, and then they put you on, then they ask questions.
Damn.
So, it's like, okay, I messed up my neck again a year ago, and I just found out 3 months ago. And they told me here that, oh, we don't see any explanation for your pain. So I sent my MRI to some friends of mine, and I'm going to Buffalo next week, which is almost an hour away, because I may need surgery right away. So, yeah. So after that, it's like, I think I'm going to just call my lawyers this time. I had to.
How many pills have they had you on? I've only taken 3 in 20 years.
Oh God, I've taken them all. The only ones I have not taken so far for focal epilepsy, because there are other medications. The only one I have not taken, 2 of them, is Fycompa and Briviact. I have taken everything.
Briviact.
Yeah, you like it?
I mean, it seemed like it was one of the key pieces.
Yeah. I was on lamotrigine, and the doctors I was with then, and I didn't know, even as a nurse, it's like I didn't realize that I could be in serious trouble. I was having breakthrough seizures that were so bad. I was being intubated. I was comatose, all of that. And it's like for years. And so, like I was saying, we had to count up. And like I thought I was intubated maybe a dozen times, and it turns out more like 40. So fucked. But yeah, sorry. And I'm like, okay, who do we talk to?
So
Did you
do any of
experience-
y'all have grand moles, or is that just me?
No, that's what I'm talking about, grand mal.
I
Oh.
have them too.
I
Yeah,
haven't,
I have a lot of
I haven't
breakthrough
had them
seizures.
since I got like on meds, but yeah, they're fucking horrible. So I'm
Have you
sorry.
experienced?
I have those regularly.
Yeah. Have you experienced status epilepticus?
What's that?
That's where they cannot stop the seizure, even with the IV.
Oh.
Yeah, that's where the seizure becomes lethal.
Oh,
That's where you
no.
go from, like, after 5 minutes, they'll give you an IV dose of lorazepam. Another 5 minutes, they'll give you another dose. Then they have to wait for 10, and then they'll do something else. I've gone into status epilepticus over 100 times.
Oh my God.
And
I'm
I'm
so
still fighting,
sorry.
and it's like, I hate saying this, I looked at the doctor, well, the NP, because they keep wanting me to think it's psychogenic. And I walked in one day, didn't have an appointment, handed over a notebook of 330 pages that I had printed of my hospital notes, my doctors, everything they were not looking at. And I requested a receipt that I dropped it off. I said, now you can't tell me that you didn't know. So, and now they know my attorney's names. So, that's all. It's like, say my name. No.
So
That's a big lawsuit.
Yeah.
Do any of y'all get clusters?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm on Lorazepam or on clobazam right now. I fell asleep. I had to take
Same
some
use.
earlier. Yep. Nothing was
Clobazam was the final missing piece in the puzzle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm lowering the lamotrigine right now though, and it's been fucking miserable. I'm like,
Yeah.
or something.
I do
Like,
lamotrigine too.
huh?
I do the lamotrigine too. Getting up to my current dose was exhausting.
Mm,
I'm
like
on 200 milligrams twice daily of
What?
lamotrigine.
are
I'm
you
on
kidding?
600.
Yeah, I was at 600 in the morning and 800 at night.
Jesus.
Oh my God.
When I realized, I was talking to a friend who's a PharmD. He's pharmacology, doctorate of pharmacology, and he can create the drugs. And we were just chatting with a group of friends, and I'm like, dude, I can't take this anymore. The medication, and it's not, something is wrong. I'm still having these seizures. I was being overdosed on lamotrigine. Good reason to leave a doctor. Constant breakthrough seizures, 3-4 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking those catastrophic ones. And yeah, I don't need my kids seeing me on a respirator again. So, but and this was from a fall a year ago that I kept telling them something's wrong with my neck, and then I demanded an MRI. They said I couldn't until I called New York State Department of Health, who told them that they had to. And we found out that I didn't fracture anything, yay, but I ruptured discs above and below an existing fusion that I had done in 2018. And my vertebrae, well, the whole fusion is falling out of my spine. The whole thing moved. And the doctors here are like, we don't see an explanation for your pain. The doctors in Buffalo, they're booked out 4 months. And we talked to them yesterday, and I'll see them Thursday.
I figure like a state like New York, you should be able to get like care like immediately. I don't know.
Oh yeah, you can, but not in Rochester. If you're in Monroe County and you're working with Rochester Regional Health or University of Rochester, you have to have top-notch insurance to get anything. So they've already done I'm suing both of those organizations right now. And sad to say, they know I'm going to win. So, show me the money. At this point, show me the money. Treat me like a queen. And maybe I'll stop. Maybe.
Right.
No.
Yep.
No. I'll stop pouting, but I won't stop suing them.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, and it's not just for the money. It's like, they're doing this to so many people, especially people like us. And I'm just making that blanket statement because they see a vulnerability on a diagnosis and they just use it. They just run with it. And the things that they've said to me, I started recording phone calls, doctor's visits. I record everything. You want to call me a fat fucking retard one more time? I need to hear it. You know what I mean? I've had nurses call me that. So,
Raised.
sorry, love. I don't know what kind of degree you done got, but mine might be bigger. Like hotter, bigger.
Right. So I'm reading something that says, when do you tell people that you're epileptic? Was a guy had been 4 years, and he left partly because of my epilepsy. He was scared and traumatized. Now, do I tell guys that I date in the future? Yeah. You don't want to have a seizure.
You gotta give him a heads up.
We gotta know. We gotta know. And if they can't handle it, we gotta know. and I want to know right away.
Right.
You know, this is a tough one, people. Yeah. But yeah,
What-
I think it's fair.
I mean, I
Well,
told my wife the first night we hung out.
part of what motivated me to join this chat is that I was so pissed off at my coworkers. I've worked at this company for 6 years, I think, and we're all super close. They're great people. We're not just coworkers, we're friends, or thought we were. Then I'm out of work for 2 months because I was in the hospital. And I get back and I don't even know if they know, but they're uncomfortable with me because I had brain surgery
Yep.
and they're treating me like shit. Like several of them went to my boss because of small things, like I missed an email and forgot to respond to it, like little things like that. And my boss, I work in we send out emails for public media to get donations,
Okay.
and he pulled me off the emails that go out on a regular basis.
For one
And
time. Yeah.
and now I'm just doing projects that don't matter. Right now I'm working on an editorial style guide, like the rules, the grammar rules and shit.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, I'm just working on shit that doesn't matter. And like today, Trump Trump probably didn't do it personally, but the administration announced that public media is losing their money from the government. So everyone's losing their mind at work about how this is going to affect,
Oh,
our
yeah.
stations that we work for, and how we should put this into our emails so that we can get more donations, because our stations are gonna get a major hit to their money.
Yeah.
And I'm not, no one asks me to help. They don't want me to help write the emails. They don't want me to help copy edit the emails. They don't want me to help do jack shit. And we have blogs on our website that they're updating. They don't want me to help with those. They don't ask me to do anything. They have a million things to do and they want to do it as quickly as possible. And I wrote multiple emails reminding people that I'm here.
Mhm.
I am working part-time because of my health problems after this surgery, but I wrote these emails telling people that I have the whole day and I don't have anywhere to go and I'm available, and no one wrote to me. No one asked me to do anything. No one wants me to help. There's a million things to do and nobody wants me. They're just acting like I'm not here because they think that I can't help.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
Let them.
I was just reading something that said, let's see what this. Oh, it says friends. Since getting diagnosed, anybody else lose a lot of friends or just stop getting contacted as much, even if your seizures are controlled now and everybody knows it? I think I just had a few people
Yep.
distance themselves. Maybe not be friends. Maybe just like time to time get in contact. Kind of
I've
the same
been
thing.
I've been pretty lucky. I have like a really good support, like good close like friend support system. But some people like from college, I haven't texted in a while, so I guess it's kind of a two-way street. Wouldn't mind like catching up with them. For a while, I was like, why are they? I haven't heard anything from them, but then I was like, yeah, I haven't texted them either, so maybe I should say, hey, what's up, every now and then.
Yeah, I try to do that every now and then.
But
I know when I stopped driving, a lot of things changed. I had friends that I didn't realize it until I couldn't drive anymore, that I was going to them and they weren't coming to me, and that changed. Sorry, I'm walking around taking the dog out. But yeah, I lost a lot of friends, it happens. People are scared. I hate saying this, but it's terrifying to watch somebody have a seizure. And I get it. But that's where you find your vibe attracts your tribe. And I'll tell people that I'm getting to know when I'm ready to, and it's usually, and I'm not talking dating, I'm talking even just friends.
yeah,
I usually
Yeah.
tell them as soon as possible, like within knowing that we're going to become friends. It's like, just so you know, I can become a horror show, and I have epilepsy. So here's the playbook, and you can jump in on act 3, scene 2, and when you see me doing this. So, I try to let people know, but if they go running, they weren't for me. They weren't there for me. I need people around me who are there for me and with me. And that was the hardest thing for me to learn in my life. Yeah, it's lonely. It's
yeah,
fucking lonely up here. Okay. We're warriors. I know people can't do this, but I would not want to watch it. Okay. So, seeing it from both sides of the mirror, it's like, yeah, I get that. I get it. But the ones that I'm just going to say it, your vibe attracts your tribe. And if they can't do it, yeah. But things at work, man, that sucks because I know what you mean. I lost a job with the state for that very same reason. They're like, oh, all of a sudden I couldn't do anything. And it's like, well, that was their decision, not mine. That was their assumption, not mine. And, I'm not responsible, but yeah, I'm going to suffer the consequences. But I had to keep remembering that was an opinion that they formed. They never gave me the chance to show them that I was fine.
It's just so frustrating because I have a coworker who's a piece of shit, like he's always forgetting stuff, he's always missing stuff, he doesn't know up from down, and it's like you're acting like I can't do anything, meanwhile he actually can't do anything.
Right. But because
Ugh.
you have a diagnosis, they got something to lean on. Just
Mhm.
saying, from experience, just saying.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, I haven't exactly lost a job because of epilepsy. I think I was pulled more towards work, maybe because of my position. Like I've had a seizure and they've been like, "You want to stay?" And I was like, "I just had a seizure at the cash register." But I've seen people leave for dislocated finger and seizure. They don't take it as of a big deal. You had a
Right.
seizure, all right, it's over with. You all right? Go about your day.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I've had the seizures at work at 4 different jobs, and I always left because Had too many seizures on the job.
Yeah.
Never sent home for them though.
Like they let you go because you had too many, or it was just like
No,
you
it was
like
my decision. It was just like I'm having too many.
Oh,
And
they considered me a risk. They literally, I still have that letter from New York State. They considered me a risk. And that was
okay.
before some of the laws that we have now. So, we're taught, yeah. No, I was considered a risk to myself and others. So I was terminated, lost pension. I lost everything.
I ugh. So I have a degree in public policy, and I can't get a job with it because these days everyone wants you to have like 5 years of experience
Oh yeah.
for an entry-level job, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
How do you do that?
lately I have been getting so mad, and I'm like thinking that having experience with law would be so helpful to just stick it to people and obliterate them about things with disability. And so I'm just yelling at everyone about how I should go to law school too. And it makes me so mad that I couldn't, even if I wanted to. Like, it's probably stupid at this point to even think about it, but even if I was stupid and did it, I can't because I have to get another brain surgery and I can't even work full time as it is. And I'm just so mad that my body doesn't work and my brain doesn't work, and I don't have the ability to fight for people the way I want to. Because I'm one of the people who needs to be fought for.
You'll get there. I can hear it, Reese. You'll get there. I was just, I hate to be, the one on the screen, but I'm listening to you, love, and you got some skills that our community really needs. So hang on to those, because you could probably create your own services.
Right.
For like 501ks or organizations that are coming up, and we need information that you may have, or resources. You have resources that we wouldn't know about. You got something. So don't give up. You just had surgery. You've got another one coming. This is the slow road on the journey, the uphill climb. You got
I appreciate that. But yeah, it is a slow road.
it's the uphill climb, and we're here with you. And
Thank you.
You're welcome. I love you for just being here. My heart's breaking because I was there. And yeah, I don't think my student loans will ever be paid.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And you know what? I don't care.
Yeah.
permit until 2026 of November. So hopefully Trump doesn't that away.
Has anybody's pills got more expensive?
Huh?
Has anyone's medication prices went up?
Clobazam did.
Yeah, I still get mine on, I have Medicaid still. So,
okay.
I have good insurance, and I'm terrified I'm gonna lose my job and I won't anymore. I think we put me on my wife's insurance just as a backup plan, but I don't know how good it is. So I don't know how much it would cost if I was using hers to pay for it.
So wait, what are they, like, what state are you in?
I'm in Massachusetts.
Okay. I mean, are they, oh right, you said you went to Boston for
Yeah.
diagnosis. I mean, what could they possibly terminate you for?
Well, they said that they're gonna terminate someone in our department just because they're losing money and they need to get rid of someone just for financial reasons. So I'm worried that they're gonna pick me and make it some kind of reason that they can come up with that's, I don't know, that they'll just come up with some kind of bullshit reason and it'll actually
Uh,
be that they don't trust me anymore, but they'll
so,
come up with some kind of reason.
um, so
I was
yeah,
thinking, I don't know if it's like a man to woman thing, but like every job that I had seizures, they always tried to keep me, and I end up having to leave. Like I fell in a fryer, and I got this wound and just a big burn, and
Dude,
I had
you fell in
blisters
the
on my
front.
fingers, and they wanted me to stay.
Dude, that's all you had to say. I fell in the fryer. Man, I just cringed. Bro, my heart's there.
I
Yeah,
Wonderful.
they told
Oh,
me take a couple days off.
oh,
Got workers comp.
I think I was lucky. I don't think they were planning to do anything, but like after I had like my like crash, I was like fuck it. I really like my coworkers. I want to go see them. And I like made a guest stop at work and everyone was like, "Oh my god, how are you?" And I'm like, as time kind of went by, I'm like, I don't think they would have done anything, but that assured that I saved that assured that I wasn't going to get fired during the like while I was off for
wow. Yeah, it might be
I don't think they would I don't know if they would have they're good people and have been very understanding and like but that that kind of like cemented like shit we can't do anything because we're gonna look horrible.
Yeah, I have a friend who said, if anything, I'm more likely to stay because they don't want to get sued for disability reasons.
right.
But I don't know.
But
They
where
treat
are
me
we?
like shit, so
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
where are
sure.
we with those disability laws? Are we still protected
I
with
don't
those?
know. With
Right.
with the current quote unquote administration, I don't know where we're at.
Well, that was the first thing they did
Right.
was they trashed DEI. And it's like, and now they're going after autism. So I don't like what I'm seeing here, but I don't know where, I'm not working anymore, but I don't know where we would stand with disability laws. Would they help us? You know, do they still exist?
Yeah, it's it's definitely one of the things that's like it was really hard to fucking sit through. Like you gotta be fucking kidding me. Um, my best friend, he's like I think he's got his own like gripe with it because he worked at Google and he felt like he was getting kind of shafted a lot. But he was like he was going off on the DEI stuff. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like you realize this kind of shit
Yeah.
keeps me from like not getting fired.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's I so since my fucked up surgery, I have to walk with a cane because I was in a hospital bed for so long. I'm like regaining the ability to walk normally, and it's so frustrating / fascinating to see the difference in the way things are treated when you have a visible disability versus an invisible one.
Like people
It's just
like accommodating to you.
sometimes and sometimes not. It's in the way you can just see the visible reactions people have. Like some people are just so visibly it's just insane.
I mean, like, what do you mean you're disabled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my favorite is Lyft drivers. Like I get Lyft drivers who are such assholes. They'll be like, if I take 2 seconds to try to find their car, they'll be calling and texting and be such dicks about it. And then as soon as they see I have a cane, they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And like trying to open the door for me and make up for it all these ways. And I'm like, you're just a dick, own it. Like,
Yeah, but hey, that's
I
why
mean, they might have genuinely not known. Like,
well, I mean, even if I didn't have a cane, like, if I were just a regular able-bodied person, like, give a person a chance to find your car.
well, what I mean, my kind of perspective on it, I could see them because they probably have so many just like drunk dickheads just not paying attention to things that they're like, okay, you don't have a reason
Taylor.
to not be doing this, but then if they see someone with like a cane, it's like, oh fuck, yeah, you do. Sorry, let me help you. I could see at least they're correcting the behavior when they see it. It
Yeah,
sounds like
I
to me at least.
suppose.
But yeah, that's kind of the point. They have to see it, and we have an invisible disability.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, people's behavior is so different when they can see the disability versus when it's invisible.